Hello, good morning. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. We are back on another edition of the QTV this morning program. As you know, if you are a key follower of this program, this is where we discuss a lot of things. I mean, community issues, social issues, and of course, we review the newspapers and also invite people on this program to tell us what they do and, their line of work, and also, invite our viewers to participate on our social media handles. And I am Ibrahim Balde. Co-hosting this program is Mr. Momodu Mboj. Mr. Mboj, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm a breakfaster, but without breakfast.
Without breakfast. There cannot be breakfast.
At least till after Ramadan, isn't it?
Until after Ramadan,
and then
yes.
Instead having a cup of coffee on the table.
Absolutely, yes.
I'm talking to Bakari
after
there,
Ramadan. Today is 20 days of Ramadan. And, the good thing is that it goes with the date of the month. That is 20th, and it's 20th Ramadan as well. So we have few more days to go. By Wednesday, we'll be saying Laylatul Qadr. And, after Laylatul Qadr, a few days, then we talk about Korite, inshallah. Yeah, so Mr. Malika, good morning. He is our newspaper review guest today. Good morning, Mr. Ka. How are you doing?
Good morning. It's my pleasure to join you on the platform with Mr. Mboj. So I look forward to a conversation.
Absolutely. On the program, the rundown of this program is the newspaper, the African code from Swahili today. Yesterday was Bambara proverb. And the Bambara people are from Mali, So they are known to be the people from the West African country, Mali. And yesterday we treated that proverb here on this program. So we'll also be talking to, Bilkis Jallo, Education and Referral Officer, Jainaba Bite, Program Officer from the Ministry of Health, and we'll be talking about autism awareness. It's important for us to deal with this, because sometimes talking about these things will help our viewers to really understand what it means and how to go about it. When we are treating the health aspect of a thing, it will help them to go and get medical checkups or also seek medical advice. So we will be talking to the team later on this program. Mr. Mboj.
Yes, of course. This is a platform where you can create awareness. So health education, it doesn't matter what topic, what subject you deal with. Once you deal it properly with the right expertise and,
Absolutely.
Then, yes, people will benefit, the viewers will benefit from what we discuss.
Exactly. And our proverb reads today, do not fight a lion if you are not one yourself. Do not fight a lion if you are not one yourself. Very interesting proverb. It reminds me when Samsung and the lion, Samsung and the lion den. I mean, the guy that killed the lion.
No, Something, yes.
Yeah,
Samson.
In the lion den. The guy that killed the lion with his bare hands. I mean, yeah. So, Mr. Malika, I mean, please. What is your interpretation of this proverb?
You lion.
Well, this is a very powerful one. I mean, and it connotes that you have to be ready and prepared for something. If you are not well equipped and prepared, do not get into a venture, because you are likely to fail. And therefore, it's important that you be what you are going to execute. So that is my take for now. I think that's my understanding.
Oh, okay. All right, Mr. Mboj.
Yes, isn't it? Taking on a challenge that you have an ability. You see, you must have the ability to take on the challenge. Otherwise, when you're outmatched, you will lose. Choose wisely. Choose your battles wisely. I think that's essential.
Know your strengths and your weaknesses.
Know your strengths and your weaknesses. Choose your battles wisely. I think that's really the key here.
Well, I mean, it's right. I mean, choosing your battles wisely. I mean, Olof Njai daf tene ñu ne bot du enu waaye su gisee lu boppa bi antal rek mu xam ko. Understand nga? So wow, it's important to be prepared for a thing, you know, gradual process. You don't have to rush. I mean, sometimes once you rush, you miss. It's difficult to be patient in the process. I mean, when you are building an empire, you cannot just come once and start building. I mean, you have to take it gradually. At some point, we've seen instances where people want to rush a thing, but without even knowing what are the risks involved. So it's important to start gradual and be prepared for it mentally, physically. If at all it's a financial thing, you have to be prepared financially as well. So it's about preparation. Yes,
preparation before you get into any adventure would help you to at least be able to accomplish. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail.
You're planning to fail.
So therefore it's important you always plan ahead so that you are ready, be the lion, so that you can be, you know.
But there are instances where people will tell you, okay, I am going to take the risk. I mean, when I take the risk, if I fail, I learn and I won't go back again.
Yeah,
or maybe if I'm going...
Taking risk does not necessarily mean that you are not prepared. You are getting into a zone that you don't, that the probabilities are, you know, win or lose. So if you calculate the lose and you don't get into it, you will never win. Like in England, they say you have to be in it to win it. So you have to be ready to take your chances sometimes, but that doesn't guarantee success. But without taking your chances also, you know, you are just going to remain where you were.
But there are individuals who take the bull by the horn and, you know, with just a slice of luck and they are successful. Do we call
successful people, you should ask them the number of times they have failed, trying and failing and trying. Nobody records that. What they see is the success. But the number of trials and failure and trials and they go through, you cannot tell. But it's the success story that is being told, but they to try.
So they call it failing to succeed. You fail so many times, but to succeed later. That is one aspect, but I think there's another aspect as well. Being mindful of my abilities. Sometimes we can be so delusional, then I go and take on something much bigger, something beyond my abilities.
Bite more than you
Absolutely,
can chew.
Biting more than I can chew, that sort of thing. So that also can bring failure. So one must have a proper assessment of, as you said, my strengths and my weaknesses, so I'll know what battles to fight. So that at the end of the day, as one poet had it, I wouldn't have my ladder against the wrong wall. You're gonna come down and go somewhere else. So that is the key. Self-knowledge is important, and humility, I suppose, is important as well. Really.
Exactly. It's. I think it's all about preparedness. You have to be prepared. You have to be ready.
After a proper appraisal
you have
of
to
what
be ready.
I can do, then I prepare
you
for
have to
whatever
go
challenge.
and talk to your pillow, waxtaan ak sa njëkkanaay, you know, on certain instances. There are other things that, you know, okay, if I venture into it, probably I might succeed, but the risk of failing is also great sometimes. You know, you put one or two things together.
Maybe the higher the target, the higher the risks.
And the bigger the prize.
That's exactly, that's what I mean, the higher the target, that sort of thing. Hey, look, whatever you do, there are risks. Yes? There's nothing, I think, that is risk-free. It's a matter of understanding myself a bit, having some ambition, tackling the right ambition, and then putting in my best and just moving on, hoping for the best. Nothing is guaranteed. It's just as simple as that. Nothing can be guaranteed ab initio. How? It's just as simple as that.
Yeah, so send us your comments on our social media handles, YouTube, Facebook. We even have a TikTok page now where you can send us some of the comments, and we would definitely read them out. So we'll take a short break. After the break then, we'll delve into the stories making headlines. We'll be right back.
It's back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new Q Money app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy Q Power, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send Q Money, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. Q Money, Sinu Calpe. We innovate, others follow.
We are back. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Obalde, and co-hosting this program is Mr. Momodu Mboj. Now, let's move on to the main headline of the Standard newspaper. Mayor Lowe says Office of the President's action against the BCC is a siege, according to her. You know, I am pretty sure she is trying to lament on the Office of the President taking over the McCarthy Square, premises in Banjul, so which was previously under the Banjul City Council. So it's been going on. I mean, this talk's been going on for weeks now, and finally the mayor break down. Mr. Carr.
Well, I think there seems to be a tug of war between the two institutions, naturally, because they come from different political parties,
yeah.
One would assume. But, you know, I mean, McCarthy Square has always spaces within Banjul under the rule of law of the city council.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why the government decided to issue that directive in order to take the responsibility of the administrative affairs of the council, because it will deprive the council a lot of revenue from advertisements, you know, hanging and other things. So I think, and you know, knowing the Lord Mayor Malik Lowe, Rohi Malik Lowe is very fierce. He's somebody that fights. So they have a big fight in their hands. So we haven't seen the end of this. It will be a protracted, probably even a legal battle. So if they cannot come to an understanding on an agreement to resolve the matter, so one would assume that this would be an ongoing saga.
Yeah. So I mean, we've just been hearing, okay, the Office of the President have taken over the McCarthy Square, but we need to know why.
But this is what I was about to ask.
Why?
Do we have the reasons?
Why?
Have they given us the reasons why?
Well, from information that I've seen, both online and, you know, engaging few people, they didn't give me any reason. All they've shown is they've taken over the McCarthy Square. But, I mean, it would have been important why.
So they were insisting that they have spent a lot, you know, in terms of the outlook and the infrastructure and so on and so forth. So that is the reason. I don't know how, you know, genuine or tangible.
Absolutely, but just considering that, can you imagine really saying that we've spent a lot of money, therefore it's going to be under our control? What kind of thinking? I do not know the kind of logic, the kind of fuzzy logic that will lead me from one to the other. Government is here for everybody, anywhere.
That's why it's a saga that would be ongoing. We have just seen the beginning of it, and the mayor, Roy Malik Lowe, have already thrown in some salvos, so we are in for a battle you know, so it's going to be like they are entering into the political era of,
Absolutely.
you know, heading towards 2026. So we'll be seeing more of these infights between the ruling party and the opposition. So that is for sure. So let's brace ourselves.
Yeah. All right. Gambian migrants, I mean, among 6 dead, 40 missing in Mediterranean shipwreck. I mean, the issue of illegal migration, again, you know, we keep talking about it, sensitizing people, NGOs talking and supporting, I mean, the young people to stay behind and, you know, try to fend for themselves in their country. But it's still difficult, and the people are still dying on this journey.
This will not stop.
Exactly.
This will not stop until and unless we address the issues of poverty that is endemic in most of these countries. If you take at the number of people living from the West African sub-region, is quite significant. And the youths, because of lack of hope, is the reason why they're embarking on this high-risk journey. We know that it always ends up in tragedy for most of the time, and yet still they cannot understand, you know, and really, you know, focus and stay home. Yes, the governments are doing a lot of things in collaboration with some of these Western governments. They're trying to ensure that they provide the youths with skills, you know, train them. But it's very difficult to convince them because it's not that easy.
Yes. It's
Migration.
It's not going to stop. You're absolutely correct. Unless, of course, yes, the longer term, you know, we must make our countries habitable for people to want to remain. Perhaps in the shorter term, what they can do, unless you have lots of these big ships patrolling the high seas, and who's policing the high seas, and who's going to do that? Who's got the resources, the kind of policing that we need, so that they wouldn't have a chance to leave, as it were, this coast? Who's going to do it?
And also a hefty prosecution of the traffickers.
And the
people
traffickers,
that use the
you know,
boats.
go after them.
They must make sure that they go after them in a very tough way that would reduce it significantly. And also using other type of technology such as drones and like high sea patrols of the navies, you know. It needs a lot of collaborative effort in order to stem the tide. But other than that, we haven't seen the end of it in the horizon.
Exactly. Information reaching us, I mean, right now that in connection with the McCarthy Square, the government, according to what I mean, is sent, that Banjul City Council is not taking good care of the McCarthy Square, and they've been spending money on the McCarthy Square refurbishment and maintenance. So recently they've also spent a lot of money, you know, to make sure that place is maintained and looks good. So that is why they have to take over the management of the McCarthy Square.
That is what government.
The government side, yes.
I wish that sort of we could see the report that they did, the survey, the study that they did to determine that this has not been happening. A good audit report by an independent body. We want to see an audit report regarding that, so that we will know. You just cannot come and with a dictat.
We need
That's
facts.
essentially what
Facts
it is.
are very
this
important.
is a dictat. This is not going to happen. They've got their own beef. This political beef, which is a distraction to the more important things that we're facing right now. I mean, McCarthy Square, for God's sake. It's so small, so almost insignificant. We are facing more interesting stuff.
So suspect in Brikama twins abduction remanded. I mean, the young man.
I think that's a domestic case that they need to resolve. A father who wanted to take back his kids. They need not be excessively harsh on him, you know, because the way it was portrayed initially, and when the facts came out, they ought to really look at this case in a very objective way, because, you know, parenthood is very important, and both parents are equally needed in terms of the upbringing, the stability emotionally and otherwise of the children. It's just the love for the kids. That's why they're battling. So they have to sit down and resolve it.
I was expecting there would be a conversation, you know, between the two parents. I mean, no matter how bitter you are, I think there should be a point where you should, you know, come into an agreement with the partner.
Yeah, but if they cannot, then let there be legal resolution, shared, access, and all these things can be looked at. There are various mechanisms that they can use in order to resolve it, but both of them equally have equal rights on the children. So they can look at sharing of time, all these things. I know those are not common arrangements in Gambia, but instead of being extremely harsh on this guy when they happen, I don't know the facts or the details.
It would have been done. But probably the manner in which, and the way the father acted, I mean, that is the problem. But, it would have been solved easily.
Not that easy, maybe. That's why it's gotten to this level. So that's why the state got to be involved, social welfare and other, institutions that are responsible for the welfare of the children, even the courts, so that they can come to an agreement that is legally binding, so that they can have shared time and all these things, and the role and responsibility of the father in terms of upkeep and all these things. A host of issues have to be looked at in order to come to a resolution.
Exactly. So here, I mean, we discussed about the judiciary's Afrobarometer, judiciary, what the people think about the judiciary of the Gambia. So now here the judiciary is rejecting Afrobarometer survey findings. I mean, okay, this is not us. Afrobarometer cannot say this on our behalf. I mean, who are they, I mean, to say that?
Oh, come on.
This is an organization, and they have proven their credibility as far as I am concerned. So I think if any institution is, taken to task, they should reflect on what is being highlighted and try to take corrective measures rather than being defensive. I haven't seen the report. I don't know what issues have been raised against them. But as an institution, they have been really proven to be very credible. So I would not definitely be very dismissive about what they have said, because I presume with the integrity of their approach in terms of their empirical application of formulas, they would have applied it in a very methodical and scientific way.
Of course, when we discussed it yesterday, didn't we? This isn't the first time that we are discussing this. And then the question was really, okay, judiciary, is it that you've got a rival survey that says something else? Or do you have a problem with the methodology? So it's not simply enough to say that you disagree and all that. What is the argument behind it? I just do not know what they base. I do not know what they base this thing on, because obviously Afrobarometer, Africa-wide, this is a network, Africa-wide, they have a good reputation.
They are recommended.
They are quoted. They are quoted by very important analysts, you know what I mean? So we need a bit more from the judiciary to really understand them. Even when we said it yesterday, I was also a bit surprised when they said, less than half, wasn't it?
Less than half
of
the this people, means the biggest
the
chunk.
People they surveyed, that's it. Less than half of the people they surveyed, as it were, didn't think that
the judiciary is doing well.
Something like that. So it's a perception.
It's an indictment that
it's a
they
perception.
need to address.
But it's a perception, isn't it? So, and recently we covered a story on our African News Roundup with the CEO of Afrobarometer living in South Africa, saying that something curious is beginning to emerge as well. People's perceptions of things and the reality could be very different. So they noticed that. So we shouldn't get all worked up over these things, over these surveys. Just understand the perception, how it might have emerged.
But nonetheless, you should attach importance to it, to the extent that we look inward to understand, if there are genuine criticisms in terms of the performance of an institution. Being defensive sometimes doesn't help, but it also, help you to be able to take corrective measures.
Considering, I mean, we've transitioned, I mean, the transition justice process of this country, where we are coming from and where we are now. I mean, the other time I was discussing with a senior, a person from the judiciary. I mean, when you look at how where we are from and where we are today.
Undoubtedly, they have registered
We
a lot
have
of positive things, and I think
yeah.
people will have to commend them for that. For one, people do see them as being very independent now in terms of
Absolutely.
the judgments
Absolutely.
that are being passed. So, but there are also issues, you know, that in terms of, you know, prolongation of cases, sometimes they're ongoing for a long time, and, you know, justice delayed, as they say, as adage is justice denied.
We've seen instances where people will take the government to court. And they win cases. There is no bias.
There are areas they are deficient. There are areas they are performing. So by and large, they have to look at all these things and
exactly.
Redress it.
Bora Collie's coroner's inquest failed to proceed. Bora, I mean, one of Jamme's
the alleged former
jungler who died in custody. I mean, his coroner's case failed to proceed. I mean, probably it's the investigation as to what, you know, causes his death.
Of course, you need to have a coroner's report in these things when somebody dies in police custody. So yes, well, I hope that we will start for whatever. Maybe there are some practical reasons why they can't start immediately, but they will do it. I think that's the important bit.
And you know, it's a mixed feeling. I mean, at this time, you know, for where we are, I mean, with all the investigations that are supposed to be done and all the allegations, so for him dying, you know, it raises a lot of questions. That's why this is very important to the people asking these questions.
No, I'm not sure. Well, it doesn't raise any questions in my mind at all whatsoever. You can die anywhere. You just never know under what circumstances you will die. So for you, the idea of raising questions, you mean that because he was under custody, therefore you could suspect foul play, stuff like that. Why does it have to be? Let's just wait. Let's just wait for the coroner's report.
I think for me, the unfortunate thing about the demise of this particular person is the type of allegations that were alleged against him. It's rather unfortunate that he didn't face justice in order to defend himself, so that the victims also can be able to get, you know, a good hearing in order to establish the facts, you know, because it's important that there is no impunity. These people have committed a lot of crimes alleged against them, and they must face justice, because that is the right thing in order for people to have closure. Because, you know, I mean, otherwise you just entertain this thing in future in terms of impunity, and impunity should be a thing of the past. So such type of people, rather unfortunate, but they should have been very quickened in order to establish and prosecute them, and then the facts would have come out.
And that is the key. We need to quickly start to prosecute, because things like that will happen. People accused of really grave crimes will just die a natural death, wouldn't have to face the law, and we need to face the law, not just the victims and their families, but as a nation.
Exactly. Sometimes
need.
That's the delay process we talk about. Probably this would connect to the Afrobarometer's finding. I mean, some of these things, especially some of the victims, these people are hungry, I mean, to see certain actions are taken. Probably those are some of the things that the findings of the Afrobarometer also is talking about.
Let us be careful here. We have our normal legal system going on. Here we're talking about actually special. We've just agreed with ECOWAS, special tribunal. So it's different. We cannot judge one by the other.
According
to
two
different processes going on.
Probably. That's what I said. Yeah, so at this point, we'll take a short break. Mr. Carr, thank you very much for reviewing some of the stories with us. And we hope to engage you next week again.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
All right, so we'll be right back after the break.
Kiumoni arti webi na fitoragol no yawi te non kadi no moƴƴi kiumoni a wawa wadde piiji ɗin fow kala ko wonɗa wattu kala a wawa e hendade mbuuɗi maɗin e o kiumoni app keson a wawa e nattinde mbuuɗi ma ɗum yaltina soda crédit soda kiw paba soda ko falaɗa te non kadi wawa hen yoɓude himɓe e ko heewi ina wawi kadi nuldude kiumoni yoɓa bilji maɗin te non kadi hendoɗa mbuuɗi ko yaasi nulda himɓe kadi mbuuɗi fi nafitoragol ɗum no weeɓi yahu ka play store ma ɗum ka app store fi wawa fuɗɗade fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi noddu kiwmoni customer care e 133 kiwmoni suñu kalpe minen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki kiwmoni e muruntananne koteke anilañi mobile app soneyari o a lannayata ndun e se kuwol be keno iɓe dawoda wati o wati e se muna fanno ila kodola anin kiwmoni la ñim mobile app kuto ise kodo dundino ye kodo fintinde ise crédit ko sanno ye kiw pawa sang ye feŋol sang ndun fanan ise mol jono anin ku jamalu ise kiwmoni kino yela bilol jo ndun fanan bantala banko se kodo kiyeno ise kodo fanan kino do kotenye pour que muna fanyina a download sign play store anin app store ni laftaka kuserengo soto je kiwmoni customer care commandi 133 kiwmoni suñu kalpe ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma kiwmoni delsina ak sen mobile app bu bees bi orna gawna te it mun nga ko jëfande ko pour def ci lo buga fo mun dine wattu bu ne mun nga jot sa xaalis ak kiwmoni mobile app bu bees bi mun nga dugal xaalis génne xaalis jënd si crédit jënd si kiw power jënd lo buga ak yu bari mun nga ci yone kiwmoni fay sa bill si jot xaalis bitim réew yónnee xaalis ci noo ko bëggee looy def yomba na downloadal app bi léegi ca play store bu dul loolu app store pour nga door pour am si lu leer koolal Q-Money customer care si 133 Q-Money suñu kalpe ñoo xaali yoon wi ñeneen toppa
QCell's Q Prayer and Q Ramadan service reminds you of your 5 daily prayer times and the start and end times for your fast. Simply send prayer to 331 to be reminded of the 5 daily prayer times. Send Ramadan or fast to 332 to be notified of the start and iftar time of fasting on a daily basis. QCell wishes you all a blessed Ramadan. We innovate, others follow.
QCell's Q Prayer kanyum e Q Ramadan service andintintama wattu mo julata darɗe joyɗen fow e wattu mo fuɗɗotoɗa horugol e wattu mo taƴata nuldu prayer ka 331 fi anda wattu mo julata darɗe joyɗen fow nuldu Ramadan maɗum fast ka 332 andintintama wattu mo fuɗɗotoɗa e wattu mo taƴata horugol mangol QCell no duwanoma sumaye wonduɗo e barki menen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki
QCell's Q Prayer anin Q Ramadan service bal kala mutandila la salwati lulola anin wato min be sungo datila anin kate prayer ki 331 prayer hakilo blandi la salwati lulola Ramadan wala fast ki 332 prayer hakilo blandi ibela sungo datila wato minna anin iba tela wato minna lungolung QCell be duala le sunkari nema ringna ndolla nga silo walang dolia bulanno.
We are back. You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. Now let's move to the last segment of this program, and we'll be talking about autism awareness. I mean, it's important for us to discuss this. As you know, we are living with people who are affected by this condition. So it's significant for us to talk about this and enlighten the general public on how to go about it, how to handle people living with this condition. And when I talk about this, for your understanding, it's people living with Down syndrome. And we have a team from the Gambia Autism Support and Advocacy Network. We have Jainaba Bite, Program Officer, and of course, Bilgis Jallo, Education and Referral Officer. Ladies, welcome to the program. And Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. So please, can you take us through what autism is?
Okay, I guess I will just leave that to our education and referral officer. Bilkis.
Well, thank you so much for having us, Mr. Balde. Autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects the way people behave, and also some of them it affects the communication, the way they communicate, and also it affects others, their behavior, the way they behave in the society. So there are different types of autism. We have the classic autism, which contains all the symptoms, language delays, and it also have, some of them have repetitive behaviors, like spinning and doing things constantly, doing the same thing. We also have the Asperger syndrome. That one has only the normal language, but you have other signs of autism, like having a difficulty forming relationship with others, social interaction. We also have the childhood disintegrated syndrome, which is the type of autism in which the autistic patient, when you are a child, you have the skills, but as you grow up, the skills will change. You wouldn't have them, they will disappear. We also have the non-specified one. The non-specified type of autism is the one that has an intertwine of the symptoms of the types that I listed before. So that is just a simple explanation.
Okay, all right. I mean, that's interesting. And which one is the common one in the Gambia?
Both of them are common.
Okay.
Both of the types of autism are common in the Gambia. And then when we talk about the classic autism, is where you have all the symptoms. We have seen people that have that language delay also, the same thing. So all of the types of autism are common in this country. Yeah.
So what are we doing to support people with this condition?
Okay, as Gazan is not long form, so one of the things that we are doing right now is basically campaigns on how to assess the understanding of the population on what autism is. And then one thing that we realize is it is, you know, related to myth and then the misconceptions that we have, because whoever you talk to about autism, they will be like, this child is possessed or so. So the first thing that we need to do is for them to know that this is a condition that if handled carefully can make the person realize the potentials that they have. As we always say, these people are very special people and they have that extraordinary minds. Yeah, so that is one of the things that we're really dealing with right now, making sure that the Gambian population know what autism is. Yeah.
I wonder, do we know how prevalent autism is in the population? Do we have any idea?
Okay, since as a newly formed organization, what we're doing is trying to engage medical officers. So one of the things that we want to do is to partner with the Ministry of Health in order to conduct a sort of assessment in order to know, because what we realize is that autism is something that is being generalized. Like they don't even know like what, let's say I am autistic, but they don't know what kind I have, but I will just be under the umbrella of being autistic, and that is because we don't have enough research done on autism in the Gambia.
Yes. So your group, what services, what exactly do you do?
Okay, like I said, for now we are more on advocacy, but we have plans to give, let's say, therapeutic services to these autistic individuals, because when we did a research on places that offer therapeutic services, the only place that we came up with was the I Promise Care, the one at Bijilo, in which they have a school and as well they give therapy to these kids. Looking at another school that we have, the kids are just there, but they don't have the special need attention that they have. And then looking at the education sector of the Gambia as well, some schools do accept them, but they don't have the capacity to maintain the people with autism. Yeah.
So is what is the cause? I mean, can you take us through the causes of autism?
The causes of autism are not well known, but we have scientists believe that there are certain things that can cause autism. For example, we have a family history. Someone that is having a family history, in your family you have a member who is having autism, or for instance, a married couple, one of them is autistic. So the probability of them having a child who is autistic is very high. And also environmental exposure to certain chemicals, like chemicals, if you are exposed to certain chemicals, it's highly possible that you can have autism. We also have prenatal care. If you don't have the quality prenatal care that you need, you are highly you are at a high risk of having autism. Yeah, so
how does it affect social interaction and communication?
So these autistic patients, some of them have difficulty in understanding how other people feel. For instance, when I am autistic and I am interacting with you, even if I say something that is very hurtful to you, you wouldn't be aware. So as always, people will try to segregate them, or you will try to avoid them. So that's how it goes.
Is it curable?
Autism? No.
It's not curable, but then there are measures that can be taken. That is why therapy is very important, because we've seen people that have, were born with autism, but because they have the right therapy, and that is why they were able to, not cured per se, but they were able to discover maybe the talents that they have in order to get a meaningful life. Yeah. So autism just needs therapy for one to
misconceptions, can you take us through? What are some of the misconceptions of autism?
Okay, the misconception of autism, what we realize is, like, women suffer a lot because, having engaged some families, who have autistic children, mostly the woman will be blamed, on being exposed, let's say exposing the body of the person before getting married, and they believe that due to so, when they bear children, they become autistic. And then the other thing is that some people believe that it is because of genes, like it's not a condition. They believe that it's genes that are, the reason why autistic people are.
Is it possible that sometimes you will hear the genes of the father and the mother, if they are not compatible, it can result to...
No, okay. No, I mean the gene. Yeah.
Oh, gene.
You're talking about
okay.
genetic.
I'm talking about genetics. Okay.
We were going to come to
all
that
right.
later.
I'm talking about genetics here.
Well, let's deal with this first.
Yes.
It's important. Then we move on to the other gene, as it were.
Yeah, like you said, gene. So a lot of people believe that people have autism because of gene. That is most of them. That is like the misconception that a lot of people have. And looking at, there's also a difference as well, because looking at this part of the country, at least people, though they don't know much information about autism, but they're a bit better, because at least they will try to get their kids to schools maybe that can, at least, though the services are not fully available, but at least it will get them engaged and as well develop their brain as they're going. But looking at the other part of the Gambia, provincial Gambia, that is where these kids are. People who even do not even want to interact with them. Sometimes their families will be, even marginalized in these communities because they believe that that's bad luck and it can't yield any good. Yeah.
The superstitious element.
Yeah.
So your gene, genetics, absolutely.
Gene mutation. Well, there are certain genes in the body. When they are the structure of the arrangement of the DNA of those genes, when it is changed, that is what leads to autism.
So earlier on you talked about the genetic and environmental elements. It's got both, hasn't it? But when it comes to diagnosis, do we have the expertise? Is it that these kids, they need to go to special schools? How is that environment, expertise, therapy help? It must be quite thin on the ground, I suppose.
Yeah, like I said, we did some research on facilities in the Gambia that offer therapy. But like I said, the only place that we find fitting was the I Promise Care. Because I can say it is not the first school established to deal with special needs, but it is the first specialized school. Because when you go to the school, they have a lot of facilities that are going to help these kids through their developmental stages while undergoing autism. But then looking at other schools, we have other special schools, like the kids are just there, but then they don't have that special attention that they need. So the level of, let's say, improvement when it comes to diagnosis on autism is really low in the country. And then we've not seen a lot of efforts that are done, let's say, by the government in it.
So what are the early signs of autism?
The early signs of autism, language delay. Some of them, some kids will not respond. When you call them, they will not respond to their name. We also have repetitive behavior like spinning, clapping, and We also have slow response. Slow response is also part of it. And then not being aware of other people's emotion is also a sign of autism. So those are some of the signs.
But is it the condition autism where there could be, some of these people could be so talented?
Exactly.
Is that it? Could be brilliant artists.
Yeah, they have extraordinary.
They have extraordinary.
For instance, we have Sir Isaac Newton. It was believed that he was having autism.
Absolutely.
And also some others believe that Albert Einstein was also autistic.
Was also autistic,
Yeah.
yes.
Even Elon Musk,
Yeah,
they said he is part of the
autistic,
Autistics,
the ASD, the autism spectrum.
the
disorder.
spectrum. He's on the
So
spectrum
it's just
as well.
that it is a part of the world, but in other countries, autistic people are doing great, and that is all because of the therapy that they're given and the early diagnosis. But you know, it's kind of unfortunate being in this part of the world wherein you're not understood. You know, like she mentioned something very important, like early delay in response. For instance, today in our society, when you talk to someone and the person do not respond early, you tend to say that the person is rude.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be like him dafa rew. Well, and you don't know exactly what the person is going through.
What
Yeah.
are some of the most common therapy that we use in the Gambia for people with this condition?
Okay. I would not say there is like any specific therapy that we use, because we've realized that there is, you know, that inadequate specialization when it comes to autism. But what we find out in I Promise Care is like, do I forget the name of a therapy that they give, but it's a basic one, but it really helps them, because you can realize that they have 4 classes, and then in the 4th grade, you know, they get to learn like how some of us will learn when we are in the normal schools, because after going through these 3 classes, they've seen that the brain have developed, and now they can take lessons as other people are doing, you know, in other schools. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, your sensitization process, are you thinking of decentralizing it to other parts of our region? That's the URR, the CRR. Have you been engaging people in that area?
Yeah, like I said, we first started with a research, like engaging certain people about their, you know, what they know about autism and how they, you know, live with autistic people within their, you know, vicinities. And then one thing that we find out is, at least here, we can say that in the whole of Gambia, there is a bit of awareness, but as well it is better in this area. So that is why we want to focus most of, when we start like our activities, we want to make sure that most of these activities will focus on provincial Gambia, so that a lot of them, because we realize that too, there are so many kids there that are having this, but let's say the pain that they go through and then the hardships is to a lesser extent to this area.
There is one thing that I understand. People have a lot of misconception when it comes to autism.
Yeah.
In fact, there is a particular tribe that people believe, I mean, most of the time they sacrifice their children. And, you know, for me, I find it very funny, and I think it's just a misconception.
Yeah.
Maybe these people have been going through that problem as well as a society.
Yes, and I hope that your funny means tragic. It's really
tragic. Good.
Absolutely.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? But this is it, isn't it? Where you have the deficiency of scientific understanding, well, superstition occupies the ground, isn't it? So the ministry, from the ministry, right? Are you?
I'm a nursing student.
Oh, you're a nursing student. Yeah. Oh, I thought she represented somebody from the ministry. So this is it. So you are taught all of these things about autism at nursing school, is it?
Yeah.
How many of you are doing this, specializing in it? Or is it that is taught to every nurse, or there are certain specialized ones?
No, there are no specialization. We are just taught. But when you finish your nursing program, if you want, you can specialize on mental health, and then later you do autism as your major specialization area.
All right, thank you very much, Jainaba Bitey and Bilkis Jallo, for coming on the program. And we hope to engage you more in the future. We want programs like this to be aired here so that people will understand. I can recall there was a lady of a child, and the child is living with autism, and she keeps calling me all the time. Please, can you do this on your television? Because I know the segregation that I am living with in my society, because it's very hard to live with a child like this, you know. In fact, according to her, even if I cook, sometimes people don't eat because of my child, you know. So it's important for us to keep talking to people about this. Mr. Mboj, thank you, and see you on Monday again. Viewers, thank you very much, and thanks to everybody that contributed this week for this morning to come on your screens. Until then, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.